Hello again, Warriors fans. I am Scott Warris and privileged to be joined by another conference athlete of the week, this time, Janae Jensen, NACC Women's Field Athlete of the Week. First of all, thanks for the time. Second of all, Janae, congratulations on the week that was, competing over at UW Milwaukee at the Panther Tune-Up. I'm going to read off my notes here so I get it right. You set a school record with a jump of 5.49 meters in the long jump, mind you, 6 out of 18 all told, but the 5 before you were Division I, which is pretty special stuff. So let's just start right there. Take me back to the weekend, take me back to Saturday at the Klatschi Center. What went so right to get you at 5.49?
So over the past couple of weeks, I've actually been dealing with a back injury. A couple meets before that, I injured my back actually doing long jump. So I've really been working with the athletic trainers on trying to stretch it out. But I really just went into UWM and I knew that I had to get higher in my jump. So I got on that runway and I gave it my full speed. And that first jump I jumped was my PR of the season. So I've realized that the fresher my legs are, the farther I'm going to go in those jumps.
Well, that's interesting. So what was the prep or rehab's not the right word, but how did you get yourself physically ready so that not just one of the jumps that day, but the very first jump after some of your back issues was the record? What take us behind the scenes a little bit?
Yeah, so it was a struggle to try to get back into jumping off that leg because the side of my back that I injured was the side I jump off of. So I really had to work with Matt and Alyssa and Andre to build up my back muscles and get it realigned. So it took a lot of stretching, a lot of working down in the SPC, working on back extensions, and getting my leg healthy enough that I could jump off of it, even if it was a little painful. And then when it came to that meet day, I really just had to emphasize warming up my back, warming up my legs, and then even if it was in a little pain, get on that runway and put it full throttle.
You know, it's a sport, it's an event that unless you do it, and I've never done it, but I imagine in talking with other athletes who've jumped, there's a lot more that goes into it than meets the eye. So I guess from your perspective, take us through the long jump and take us through, because it's a lot of timing, right? I mean, it's not all timing, but most of it is, right? And if you're off by just a little bit, throws you out of rhythm, I imagine.
Oh, yes. It is a lot of work. It's not just running on that runway and jumping in the pit.
That's what I think a lot of people think. Well, just run really fast, and when you get to that mark, jump.
Yeah, so even just to get your mark first, you have to start at the board where you're going to jump off it, and you have to do a run back to see 7 steps, 5 steps, whatever you and your coach choose, and that is how you figure out where you're going to start. Then you have to turn it around and try to do a run through and hit that board, and it takes a lot of adjusting. So for me, I finally figured out where my exact mark is so I can get my foot on that board. But if you aren't giving it the correct speed, you're either going over or you're not even hitting that board, and that really affects the distance you go. And I realized that the past couple meets I've been hitting that board, which is giving me that 0.4 of a meter difference. And it's not just jumping. There is a lot of leg work that goes into it. You have to get that knee drive. You have to keep your body up in the air. The longer you keep your body up, the farther you're going to go. So it takes a lot of technique and a lot of practice to get that down.
What is the training like? And I'm thinking weight room training. I mean, is it all legs? Is it core work as well? I mean, in terms of the physical makeup of a body, what are the areas that you really have to work on to excel in the long jump, let's say?
Yeah, so I'd say the most important part would be your upper legs and your hips, because that is what's driving you forward. That's what's keeping you up in the air. But overall, it's your whole body, because you need those arm muscles to make you move to the pit. You need those legs to be strong enough to jump off of, to get that height and to get that speed. So in the weight room, we're really working on like squats. We do more like body weight for our upper arms, but all of it's important, and also the stronger core you have, the more upright and faster you're going to be. So as a track athlete, it's the body as a whole that needs to be strong, not more than like not one body part over the other.
Sure, sure. Well, we're here talking because of what you did in the field realm of track and field, but you run some of the track events as well, especially when we get to the outdoor season. Let's go back, like take me way back. How old or how young were you when you realized that this was something you'd like to do, competitively in high school and now into college?
Yeah, I was 7 years old.
Wow, you knew you wanted to
Yeah.
run, jump, a little bit of both, I suppose, when you were 7.
Yeah.
Was there a moment or somebody, or you're just racing with your friends or your family in the alley or on the sidewalk and going, I'm pretty good at this?
Yeah, so I went to a Wells grade school, and every year one of the grade schools hosted like a little track meet for 1st through 4th grade, and we got to compete in all the events. So whether it was the 50, the 200, broad jump, long jump, frisbee tossed, they don't have that anymore.
Wow.
But
that would have been mine. That would have been my sport,
Yeah.
the frisbee toss.
you gotta do all of them, and they even had little ribbons that they sent to the schools for whatever. And ever since then, I knew I had a passion for track. I was the fastest on the track there in the little grass field that they had. Can't believe it. It was like running a 40-second 200, but from 7 years old and up, like it was just always my passion.
Have you had a coach or a teammate? Who's been the most instrumental, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe a coach, maybe not, in your rise through the ranks from 7 years old now to a senior in college?
Yeah, so I would guess I would have a coach for each era, but in grade school I had my pastor or our track coach who really like pushed me, and he still does. Like he's still congratulating me on my succession and everything. And then when it came to high school, we had a coach who really knew how to get students to state in track, and his name was Jim Bauer, and he was a God-fearing man, but he really pushed for you to do well. Like he had those times he wanted you to meet, and he was very strict on you getting that because he wanted you to get better. And then when it came to college, coming here to WLC, I had Lawrence Treadaway, and he really just connected with me, and he helped me improve on those small dynamics so I overall could be a better athlete.
How do you prefer to be coached? Hard, or just maybe kind of more on the side, quiet? Like, what have you found in terms of motivation from somebody else that puts you in the best position to succeed?
I do really well with a hard coach.
Okay.
Like when they give me like, you need to hit this time, or I really need you to hit this mark, that just pushes me to want to get there.
All right, good to know. If coach is watching, good to know. All right, Janae Jensen, before we let you go, we'll have a little fun here as always. I hold in my hand 3 cards. There's a category of questions on each card. You choose the card, I'll ask the questions. Okay. Miscellaneous category, miscellaneous. Doesn't really help you at all, any, does it? But here we go. Questions as follows. First answer that comes to your mind as always. The better odds of happening, you skydiving or you bungee jumping?
Oh boy.
You got to pick one.
I would say skydiving.
Okay. What was your first pet and what was its name?
My first pet. I think it was a cat, and her name was Kohler.
All right. How many times did it take you to pass your driver's test?
1.
One. That's all you needed. Would you rather own a condo downtown or a house in the country?
A house in the country.
10 inches of snow or 10 below?
10 inches of snow.
Okay. And your wild card question. What do you think is the biggest thing that folks don't know about your sport? And for the sake of this conversation, we'll kind of put it in the jumping realm, long jump. What don't you think people know if they're watching you compete or watching maybe a meet on television?
Yeah, I would say kind of what we talked about is I think a lot of people think it looks easy and that you can just go and jump in that pit and get the distance that you want. But it actually takes a lot of work. Like I said, you have to get that runway down. You have to get that footing down. And when you're in the air, that is literally the most important part, because the higher you have that knee drive, the longer you're holding it up, the farther you're going to go. So everything has to be in motion and everything has to work together in order to get that distance. It's not like I can just get that distance in a day without practicing.
And if you think that Janae is lying to you. Try it at home, right? Like, go out there when the weather gets warmer and try it. Just run really fast and then jump into a pit or sand or sandbox or something and see how far you'll fly. Not very far. Okay, Janae Jensen, the NACC Women's Field Athlete of the Week. Congratulations. All the best the rest of the way. And thank you for watching another Conference Athlete of the Week here on WLCSports.com.